I'm kind of like I think people like Michael Jordan. I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
The analytics
I love
you just see how games and possessions play more intense, how they mean more.
I'm not putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
My mayor Muslim, my bagel's Jewish. The Knicks, I have faith in. This week's guest is Giri Nathan. Giri, how are you? Thank you so much for joining the show.
I'm great. I finally got a night of sleep. My team won the championship. I got back from Texas. A fiscally irresponsible move was rewarded massively with indelible memories for a lifetime. So let's go.
That's beautiful. I mean, I want to ask about your general viewing situation, your trip to Texas, et cetera. But like, what's it like to see what does it feel like when your team wins a championship? Like, what are you feeling?
I do think I blacked out for the last 4 minutes of the game, I want to say. And it just became more of a whole body sphincter tightening that is hard to break down in any more analytical way. But it was a moment of shock and disbelief. I was in a section in the bleeds that was mostly, I want to say 70 to 80% Knicks fans. There was a family of 3 Spurs fans right in front of me, but they kept going to get popcorn for their child because I think it probably wasn't the most enjoyable viewing experience. So yeah, there was incredible invasion of Knicks fans. So I'm currently trying to write about what it is about this fan base that makes them so unwell and so able to just descend on a town the way they did. But walking through the concourse, you would just see New Yorkers running into their friends and neighbors. It was totally surreal.
The 7th borough of New York is the Riverwalk.
Exactly.
Yeah, as the Knicks were shooting, I don't know, was it 4 for 8 on free throws in the last minute?
Yeah.
Every miss, the first thing I would think is just Giddy must be experiencing a type of psychic and perhaps physical pain that he's never experienced in his life before. This must just be so ass.
Yeah, it was. There were definitely some agonizing minutes. I think as I saw Brunson just really get tough bucket after tough bucket, it kind of soothed the decades of trauma that I think Barry described very well in his blog the other day. But it's everything went opposite to the script that we had programmed, I guess, into our brains for decades now. And that was that kind of redemption, the way it played out in a series of dramatic comebacks as opposed to collapses was maybe the best thing about this whole run. Is just it just kind of reversed a lot of psychic damage over the years. So I was willing to put up with a couple minutes of agonizing missed free throws for the macro victory.
Yeah, I mean, talk about. I think there's this sort of strange sense the way people are talking about Knicks fans now, as if they're this insanely entitled bunch, as if they didn't have to, endure the Alonzo Trier experience, Mindongas Kuzminskas or whatever his name is. Yeah. And I feel that contrast I find to be sort of telling, because it's the fact that Knicks fans can carry themselves with such confidence and braggadocio, I think people should really be admiring. It's kind of cool to defy the basic tenets of reality like this,
Yeah, I mean, I saw a guy walking down the Riverwalk with a blue and orange cowboy hat and no less than 5 Knicks related medallions and huge denim cutoff shorts that had Knicks logos on them and some orange and blue, I want to say plaid socks underneath to complete the ensemble. So, I mean, there's no way he bought that all in the last 2 months. He has built a life and a wardrobe on top of this fandom that has done very little to reward him in the last 20 years. So I think it's cool that they finally get to see some fruits for all this years of thankless loyalty. I think I was trying to explain this to I talked to dozens of San Antonio locals over the course of the day, just hopping around and doing tourist stuff, and they all seem to speak as if they had seen the same viral videos of a Spur fan getting beat up in Manhattan and like thought we were a city of degenerates. And it was like, I was trying to explain that a city of that many millions of people does contain a lot of punks and losers proportionately. So you need to like factor that in. But I think there was something impossible to communicate about the mentality of a fan base and that has just been suffering for this long, and the way it kind of manifests in like, showing up to game 5 in the thousands and like doing chants that basically were, I think they were louder than the Spurs fans in the arena from what I could tell.
You did something, Giri, that in watching, because I was watching with some Defector people over the last couple weeks, and it was always like in New York City before Game 5, and it was always like, yeah, Giddy's at home. He's going solo. He's watching like alone. So which is like that is we all know people like that. That's the final form. One of the kind of amazing moments about this Knicks run is how much everybody came together to watch the Knicks, but you kind of were post that. So what was talk to me about your decision to do that?
I would say for every previous Knicks playoff run, I was fully able to integrate in the social fabric, but like getting to the finals just felt like a difference in kind, where I didn't want to like. I had watched Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals out at a bar, and they like refused to put the audio on, and I was just like having bad eye lines, and it was a great game, and I was like, if I actually cared about the outcome of this game more, I just simply would not want to be in public. So I was just like, I need to watch this at home, and just had my notebook open, put my phone away for safekeeping, and watched all the commercials like a freak. I was just like, refused to let any second of it escape my notice. I think what was amazing though, especially in Game 4, was just like I had these like micro spoilers of just the ambient noise from the city. And then eventually I turned on my TV so that I couldn't hear it. And I got to watch like the tip-in and everything without having that ruined. But that was glorious, where like you're never actually alone just because of the density of the city, even when you feel like you need to endure this particular.
I wanted to talk about this phenomenon because it was this beautiful Wi-Fi throttling related poetry where, because I was on the opposite end, not to brag, nice upload speed over here. I was before a lot of the other folks. So I would, but you would get this amazing experience where I would see a huge play and then almost like thunder and then lightning, like 4 seconds later, I would hear the people watching on the street like freak out in their own way. And it was so awesome to hear it like cascade across New York.
Yeah. No, there's I mean, it's like there was also incredibly satisfying release after Game 4 of just like walking into the street after having just like gone through the gauntlet alone. I think it was just like, okay, that's when the camaraderie kicked in, and it was just like, people were going nuts. It was the shout out to YouTube TV in general, but they didn't really deliver for the finals in particular. I don't know whether it's why that is, but latency as a determinant of like celebration timing is a cool phenomenon. I don't know. Where were you watching the game, Harry?
Let's talk about Game 4, because I was out with some people Game 4, and I'm not afraid to say this, I went home at halftime because I was like, the fucking Knicks are getting their teeth kicked in. It's a school night. Like, let me, go watch the second half at my house. And I watched it with my roommate, and it was that turnaround was, I mean, I don't even, you can't say enough about that, the last 8 minutes of that game, of just like the level of epic proportional meltdown from the Spurs, the final play. The only kind of interesting thing I want to say about it is, and I think some people have been good about this, but I want to like just put my stake on the ground. When Brunson got Wemby switched onto him, I think he shot on purpose, knowing that the best possible situation is that Wemby's 30 feet from the basket, and like either Towns or somebody else crashing in is going to get that board. Like, to me, it seemed like completely on purpose. And I mean, it worked, you know. So, but that was just, totally. I mean, so what was game 4 like watching Giri and Patrick?
I mean, I was on all fours, like hysterically laughing, borderline crying,
just
and like
braying,
pounding the carpet. Yeah, I had to leave because I was gonna wake up the baby, but that's when I just like marched out in the streets. But yeah, I will never undergo any emotional journey like the second half of that game again. I don't know if I can handle another one for another decade at least, but that was one of the best sports related days of my life. And is in terms of the emotional delta from like halftime to the end of the game is unmatched.
I mean, that's like the craziest shit that's ever happened in sports, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I was at a concert and I watched the entire second half on my phone in the smoking section because I didn't want to watch the opener. I just needed something to do, and thinking, okay, I'll see if the Knicks can figure something out for game 5.
Yeah.
And I was increasingly convulsing, except like people around me, like not only weren't watching the game, but like actively did not like that I was like ticking the sound up on my phone, like one little bit every like 5 points they came back. But like the thing with the Knicks that I think is interesting is like they've performed this miracle enough that I don't think anyone can really say it's all that fluky.
Totally.
Like the 29 doesn't happen without, you know, the other participant helping you collapse. But like the stat about how they're 5-3 in the last 2 playoffs and games they've trailed by 20,
it's
like
absurd.
And every other win in this series features a double-digit comeback. Like
Right.
The fact that they have sort of systematized the miracle as an act is like this kind of one of the most amazing things I think about this particular team.
Yeah, it's like if they wanted to heal the specific damage that their fans have suffered. Like, okay, we've gone in the lab and we have designed the perfect medicine for you, and we're going to administer it over the course of this 2-month playoff run. And I think like it hit especially hard because they had gone like 45 days without playing a competitive basketball game.
Yeah.
And then all of these were just like total tooth and nail, just like mud fights. And I think the stat was like, if you cut off all the games at 46 minutes, like the Spurs would have won 4-1, won the series 4-1, which is just outrageous.
Well, it speaks to like if the Warriors, for example, their playoff, like what the way you understand the Warriors is that any moment a flurry of buckets could bring them back into a game, and it was like these like sharp explosions. The Knicks had this more feeling of like a tank slowly leveling a city, of just this like slow grinding inevitability. And especially with the Spurs, where we talked about with like Wemby, it was really Wemby versus Wemby out there. And like, I think one of the things that at least my interpretation of the Wemby fall off is like, he's just not strong enough or in good enough shape's not the right word, because he's not out of shape. He's just not strong enough to play 48 minutes of playoff basketball. But if you combine that like meat grinder Knicks offense versus defense versus the what the Spurs were doing, you did kind of feel like eventually it was going to break, and it did every game, thankfully, with 1 minute left in the game, you know, each time.
Yeah. I sort of read it like I think there's going to be a lot of analysis that basically will say, I think mostly correctly, that the lights were too bright. But I think one factor of the brightness is basically that like San Antonio takes these like 15-point leads almost as a matter of course in every first quarter. And the fact that they see the Knicks like not panic, the fact that, you know, usually you would think that induces sort of like, especially with the Thunder in the last round, like this induces either a a panic or just sort of some change of strategy. Like seeing Brunson just calmly execute and just like gradually figure out these like little micro fractures in the defense. I think that causes this sort of cascading like, oh, holy fuck effect. So that like when you're 42 minutes into the game and all of it, you just know like they're getting stronger and coming on more. It's like you can just sense that like that panic sort of inverts onto the Spurs. You know?
Yeah, like if you're an NBA Finals team, you're up double digits in the first quarter, and they're playing Ariel Hakporti and Jeremy Sohan. You're like feeling pretty good, but then for the somehow that's just part of this journey of just like incrementally creeping back, digging into the rotation, finding guys who can play in like certain lineups, and like that's a total testament to Mike Brown as well. It's just like being willing to go deeper into the rotation, but just like. They simply never ran out of solutions. I guess like that's the simplest way to say it. It's just every time it feel like, Brunson was like overburdened in the beginning of the playoffs. Cat took over for entire series as the hub of their offense. He finally kind of wore down in the middle of this series. And then like OG just had like the platonic 3-and-D performance of a postseason run. Like I don't think we'll ever see anything like this where he just does each side of that thing to such perfection. And I think like that's a huge aspect of why Wemby was getting worn down by the end of these games is because you're getting bodied by Mitch and Cat and OG and even Hart, and you're also having to scramble against like a genuine 5-out offense. Like I think you can't understate how much that contributed to his fatigue as well, because you can't play drop coverage against, Cat. Like you're just out there trying to get around screens and trying to contain all the shooting that this team has. So I think a lot of this Wemby slander right now is obviously kind of overblown and for comic effect in a lot of cases, but in a lot of ways he met a specific opponent that could kind of outmeet and outshoot him in ways that expose his current deficiencies, I think. Whereas like I think there are a lot of other teams that, he would have been fine against.
Yeah. Like something that I really admired about this Knicks team and why I find game 2 to be one of the more instructive ones. Like that was, the Wemby pass off the back thing is sort of what cost them that. But like down the stretch in a game the Spurs should have won. Like the reason why the Knicks won is because they brought Wemby like into the action as far as possible. And they would do that thing where it's like, okay, he gives you like the sliver of a second to scramble off the backside and make the play. And it's like, not only is OG there making the play, I think there is something also, again, very psychologically damaging about like just confronting the total strength of the other team instead of trying to pick away at their weakness. Like that would just make you feel insane if like this little 5'11" guy whose best physical trait is that his head is like the size and weight of a bowling ball is just kicking your ass over and over again. Like it was just so cool to watch.
Yeah, like his elbow is like perfectly aligned to like hit you in the kidneys.
Yeah, in the
like
jejunum.
That's the key feature of this matchup.
One thing about the Wemby slander is, dude, Wemby is getting the like full dime square treatment. Like he is like, it's like, yeah, dude, this is what happens when the 7,000 bloggers in New York find out about you, dude. Like the entire force of the sun is getting directed at him. It's like, it's just so funny. There's going to be like is Wemby the worst basketball player of all time article in New York Mag this week.
Yeah, Ben Smith is going to find out about Wemby next October, but he'll write a contrarian take that like, he should just read more Brandon Sanderson. Like if he just gets further into the bag of sort of mid fantasy, then that'll really like he'll overcome his deficiencies somehow.
We're due for the free press take on Wemby. It's got to emerge in counter position to all these excited New Yorkers.
Yeah, that is interesting. Wow. What would their angle be?
Well, because he is French, which sort of scrambles it. But I feel like knowing the free press, they probably have like a 3-person France desk of people who all make like $200,000 just like writing about wokisme.
Yeah. Well, he's French and he's at least heavily thinking about Islam. As that great tweet.
Considering or at least heavily thinking.
Yeah.
was so good.
It,
I mean, one of the reasons I wanted the Spurs to lose, like I was rooting for the Knicks in this series, but just generally I had this like passive anti-Spurs thing is basically is the Wemby thing. And I thought, okay, if Wemby wins his first finals, the world is going to turn on him to like this crazy degree that they'll never come back from. It's like he wins his first title, does the thing that like Jordan and LeBron couldn't do. And he's this like kind of arrogant seeming French guy. Like people are going to just hate him forever. But if he loses his first title, that gives him this like mythology of sort of circumstances to overcome. And I think I underestimated what would happen if the shit talkingest city in the world beat him, where they're like, we're just going to turn up the slander all the way. And your loser bona fides have been proven forever. So I'm sort of pleasantly disappointed to have been proven wrong here.
yeah,
I don't know. Like Harry, you staked out an early Wemby hater position.
Yeah. You were on this.
You were on this, and I almost wonder if you sort of like regret being right too early.
There's an element of that, which is I'm ready. I hate to do this. I hate, when people like are, have a take and then a couple months later say that now their take is actually played out. Unfortunately, that is what has happened. We got to pump the brakes. Everybody on Team Wemby, hey, we got to pump the brakes. He's not like the big bad bully or like the problem with everything. Like he's just a tall guy who is 22 and lost in the finals. I'm very excited. There's all there's this constant fear about like who is the face of the league or whatever. And I love that Wemby has arrived as like a lightning rod object no matter what. Like he is here as either the heel or the hero or the anti-hero of what's going on. It's not quite this sort of, or it's not even close to this like beloved Steph thing or even like the LeBron, a chosen one kind of thing. But he is definitely like, it's now like, does Wemby suck? Is Wemby cool? Is he actually good? Like that. He is a discourse hyper object, much like Times Square, and I think that's great for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I like as amazing as his stint as the best player in the world was. The majority of humanity can simply choose not to care about Nikola Jokic. Like that's just not my problem. Yeah. Like I don't need to have an opinion on this man. It seems like Wemby is going to be a lightning rod for all discourse, both within kind of this local sports media and just like macro discourse structure. It's just like you can't not have an opinion about this guy.
And I think the primary reason is that he's 9 feet tall. And like I watched a lot of these playoffs with people who don't watch a lot of basketball, and they react to seeing Wemby on the TV as if like a large spider has descended from the ceiling. Where like whether you're repulsed by it or like ultimately you can make your peace with it, like you're thinking about that, like the presence of that thing all the time.
Yeah, I think I was watching him like just when the season started, and for some reason it hit for me like he's the first jump scare superstar where when he makes a great play you feel lightly repulsed or concerned in a way that I can't remember having felt before. And I think someone took this idea to its logical conclusion maybe last week and photoshopped him into the scene from Science, the birthday party scene, which is just beautiful.
Patrick, I wanted to your point about him being tall, I think is so important, especially with this Mamba comparison, the idea that he has this like Mamba mentality, because, and I'm curious if you guys will agree with this, there is something Napoleonic about the Mamba mentality. Like you can't be 7 feet and have a Mamba mentality. Being Mamba is like, is this like constant state of micro compensation for not being like, God's gift to basketball physically. And I just don't, we need a new word to describe this specific kind of arrogance or whatever, because you're just not, it's different when you're that close to the rim, when like what you're doing is hardwired into your physical DNA as opposed to jumping or, you know, this other kind of skill. So I'm done with the French Mamba stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get, yeah. I think grievance and resentment doesn't look as good on you when you're 7'4".
Yeah.
When you can just blot out an entire team's offense by existing. It's I'm sure he's gonna like tinker with his angle. He does seem like someone who's very aware of how he comes off, and has been, you know, quite open to media in a way that other international players, I think, have not. Maybe it's just like a generational thing too. Like this man's been online probably at some point unlike a lot of great international players past. So, but yeah, I'm sure he's gonna get it, just like figure out a way to present himself in public that is perhaps slightly more appealing or villainous in a more appealing way than whatever he's rocking with right now.
Yeah, that was what I was sort of thinking about, is like, is he going to embrace his villainhood? Which I think he should do. I think that's like, that would be a good angle for him. Like, yeah, I'm the face of the league. Like I deserve to win this championship because I'm so taller. I think that would like really play into his persona well and might get some people sort of back on his side. Although Harry, I think your point about Mamba mentality being impossible for a guy that's tall is really true. And like, why I always like big men, because basically by virtue of being so physically undeniable, you never get to develop those like unhealthy professional complexes that push you to become this like psycho locked in person. So like all big guys are just like kind of weirder generally. like even someone like Kat, who I think is extremely well adjusted, is just kind of a weird guy because he's 7 feet tall. You just can't avoid it. And like Wemby is trying to be too normal. He's denying his birthright of just being a strange guy. And like this idea that he's like a guy who just loves basketball and cares about it so much and wants to win. It's like, no, you're 7'5". Like that's what makes you like embrace that, you know?
Yeah.
Be a villain.
I think like another thing that adds to the psychological intrigue of it is that like he is, you know, this hyper modern big man born into this era that demands big men to do everything, to, you know, handle the ball, pass, whatnot. In a previous era, he would have just stood near the hoop. They would have thrown him an entry pass. And even though everyone was standing within an 8 square foot area, somehow he would have gotten it and he would have just dunked, and he would have done that 25 times a game and he would have been unstoppable. Now he feels like he needs to be Kevin Durant. Like he's leading the break. He's doing all this stuff and he's not quite there yet. I think he is still, he relies on other people to just kind of get the offense going and actually create opportunities for him in a way that like other superstar players have just been able to create for themselves and are like some more self-reliant in that way. So it's interesting to see him be drawn towards this like aspiration to be this 8 foot tall guard versus like right now where he is most effective is just like being the greatest lob catcher of all time and like just blotting out the sun on defense. So like like the traditional big man stuff is still what makes him incredible, but he feels called to be more, and you can kind of feel that tension. Like
what Wemby's got to do is he has to like slowly like boiling a frog in hot water. He's got to be like next year. He's got to be like, I think I would still be the best player in the NBA if I was 7'2". Yeah. And then like go down to like, if I was 6'11", I'd still be the best player. And then it's like eventually he's like, I have the guard skills of Isaiah Thomas. Like that's he's got to like work his way. Because I mean I mean as somebody who is immune to all psychological warfare, if Wemby was like, I would be the best player in the world at 6'4", I would like fucking find his home address and go talk to him.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
I do wonder, like, how will his game change because of this? Like, I think we can all acknowledge that he has the capacity to be way better than he was in this playoffs, especially this finals. And I think your point about shot creation, Giddy, is like totally the place to start. Like, the best version of Wemby is someone who doesn't need to be this dominant one-on-one scorer to be so effective, right? But like, does he need to bring more of that into his game? Does he need to just take, 8 threes a game? Does he need to be facing guys up or like develop a Dirk pull up? Like, what if you were like in 2K and you could just like press the add skill button and distribute some skill points, like where would you put them?
It's kind of tricky because I think what was exposed a little bit in the finals was just like the deficiencies of his teammates. Like, I think if he had a ball handler who was like a credible pull-up threat and like made the defense a little more nervous, he would be catching like a bunch of easy lobs like every game. I think the fact that he does have these guys who are amazing at getting downhill, but you kind of expect that they want to go all the way there, and the defense is kind of ready to deal with that. So in some ways, I think it's incredible that he's actually gotten this far with the guards who don't really shoot pull up threes even, and who like don't get in the mid range and operate there. But like, imagine how much easier his life would be if he just like had like if he was playing with a Chris Paul who had been like 20 years younger. Like if he had been with someone who could kind of manage the game and turn him into just like more of that dependent big man who's just getting spoon fed easy looks. But I don't know. I kind of think Dylan Harper will eventually become that, and like definitely has the shooting touch and the craft to be a good mid-range operator. But it's kind of hard to imagine how he develops in isolation without like the teammates sort of rounding out their flaws too.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I feel like in his rookie season and a little bit last year when he was playing, you would see moments in close games and he even in the finals, he's like clearly still experimenting, which is so fun to watch. But like, you could see in those games where he's like, I'm going to just become Dirk Nowitzki for 5 minutes. Yeah. And it was like not always effective, but the theory I think is totally correct, where it's like, you can get a 15-foot jump shot for free on anyone. That's like, no one's going to block that. Right. Which like, shooting a jumper is hard, but I think the theory is it would be more like a free throw for him than basically anyone else. And if you can like, I sort of find myself making an accidental ball don't stop argument where like long live the MIDI basically.
Yeah.
I'll just say I would bet my life. I would bet my life on a House of Highlights post of Wemby bench pressing this summer. There's just no way there's not Wemby hitting the weight room, eye emoji. Well, and he's gained like 4.5 pounds. Yeah.
He's gonna prominently eat burger.
Like each of his limbs has put on like 1 to 2 pounds. But I think one thing, the most noticeable thing I would say is like he needs to like set a screen, even if that means becoming physically wider. He basically just uses his hands and elbows to screen right now. Which, even though it doesn't get called, is just not really viable like going forward.
No, it's a weirdly
the Knicks were playing around it too. They the second Wemby would go up, they knew that he was going to roll before actually setting a screen, and they would like do all that pre-switching stuff, and it was like so effective.
Yeah.
Sorry, Harry.
I was just going to say the little weird like Wemby auto ghost screen is like both illegal and ineffective. Like it's this strange thing where it's like he sets a moving screen that doesn't work. It's very strange.
It's I think that might be the one thing that he could just like figure out maybe over the course of an off season. Like, I don't know enough about like specific screening technique to do it, but just like maybe just accepting in his head, like, I'm not the ball handler, I'm not the guy every single possession. Like, I do need to function better off the ball and like helping my teammates get downhill.
He should also do steroids. I think
that
would be
a little
that would be good.
Yeah.
Like LeBron as sort of, our greatest 40-year-old athlete who never gets hurt and gains 5 pounds of muscle still. Like, as that guy fades out of the league should just basically, like, if you are one of the top 3 players, you should just be allowed to do steroids. Like, especially if you're shaped like Wemby, like it's fine.
If
It'll
you,
be better for everyone.
Yeah, if you like were on the MVP ballot somewhere, like you can go to Germany in the off season.
Okay,
Yeah.
start calling him Pepe Le Peptide. Maybe something there.
Well, actually, no, Harry, that brings up an interesting point. Like maybe, you know, he will eat burger, he will lift weight, but I do wonder if like, because he's like optimized in a way a lot of tech stuff is. I wonder if he's like, I'm going to train this summer in San Francisco. I'm going to like, now that all these companies have IPO'd, maybe there's more opportunity for me there. I can like really get my peptide shit going. Like he's not going to lift weights so much as like inject substance.
We'll get a Ramona Shelburne article that's like the word that changed Wemby's summer is one you've probably never heard of. Canthropalzide. Chinese.
He was going to say we lost to the Knicks because we were too mimetic. We weren't agentic enough.
It was a Discord that really unlocked Wemby's offseason. It'll be interesting to see what kind of wellness guy he is. He's obviously very into taking care of his body. Like he does specific prep even for his toes. Like I think he is caring for himself in a way that big men past have not. But he's also playing in an era where there's this profusion of, reckless and boundary pushing, like wellness information being pumped into the world every day. And I wonder how much of that he gets involved in, or if he's just like all into, more conventional FDA approved techniques.
Well, that's a funny contrast, with the thing that James Dolan apparently told all the Knicks players, where he was just like, you cannot fuck for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So this is like, centuries old, wellness
Yeah,
techniques,
very
and it
Lindy.
worked for them. So,
Yeah.
we talked about him briefly, but like Brunson's game 5 performance was
dude.
one of the best single game finals things I've seen forever. And like, what was I the second he scored over Wemby on that one-on-one play, that's when I sort of knew that something crazy was happening. But like, I so appreciate watching this tiny man for how smart he is. Like there was that play where Harper fouled him on one of the several 3-shot fouls, where it's like he just pulled it, he just stopped like a half second earlier than he ever had on any other screen. And you just see the way he just thinks of these like little micro advantages and sees these like tiny openings in the defense. So Giddy, like what was it like watching that in person, one, but also like, I've always thought of you as one of the great Brunson appreciators, even as you cautioned him to stop just dribbling around for 20 seconds every possession. So just like, what did you make of all this?
I forgot, one of the commentators was talking to him early in the series about how when you play a physical anomaly like Wemby, it will take a few games to just adjust to the way he takes up space and how to correctly maneuver around him and what shots you can no longer get anymore and what shots are available to you now. So I think watching Brunson figure that out over the course of the 5 games is one of my favorite aspects of the series, where, clearly game 4, game 5, he understands deeply that like as soon as you get some daylight and you have Wemby out at the perimeter, you need to pull, both because like you trust your guys to rebound there, and because you're Jalen Brunson, like a pull-up 3 in the crunch time is still a very good look for you. So what I've loved about watching Brunson, and I say this as someone whose maybe natural inclination is, more of a pass first point guard, and someone who's kind of, playing the beautiful game, as it were. But
Sort
I
of
think
a Frank Ntilikina type.
Yeah, kind of a Frank Ntilikina type. But I
More
think
of a
one
Pablo
of the things
Prigioni.
yeah, exactly. Pablo holding it down too. But I think the thing about him is his total understanding of like risk versus reward. And you can see him seeing little passing windows and deciding against them, because he understands, look, I'm 5'6". If I try to thread this needle with this like crazy skip pass, it's going to get picked off by like 2 different guys. And the advantages that he creates are instead ones of just like, throwing his shoulder into a guy and creating like a foot of space, and then dribbling into that, and then getting onto 2 feet and like getting his defender in the air with a series of pump fakes and pivots. It's a lot more methodical. It's a lot more like self-reliant Needs his teammates to create the space for it, but you really feel like he's just like a boulder going downhill and just like bullying his way to the rim one way or another and creating these tiny openings for himself. I think it's kind of rewired the way that I enjoy watching a point guard now. And I kind of, I've like totally come full circle on ball hoggery as a way of being a 6-foot guy in the NBA. Just because of the sureness that you get from just everyone in the arena, either team, both coaches knowing that this guy's going to take the shot, but somehow he's so good at finding these advantages that you can't really stop him. There's something very cool about that.
Yeah, like something I always like after a team wins a title is how people will just sort of reverse engineer the formula from what they did. So it's like, when the Celtics win, it's like, you need a big three. When the Mavs win, it's like, you need one guy who's really good. I'm really hoping that people now are like, you got to do exercises to make your head larger because that's what makes him special.
There's also, there's a tremendous amount of possibility for some New York exceptionalism here where we get the like, when Harden does heliocentrism, it's a ball hog. When Luka does it, it's heliocentrism. But when Brunson does it, it's dead ass a bucket. It's
he's just walking here.
Exactly. Right. He's just,
well, he is just walking too. Like that's one of
he's
the things
doing
that
it
makes
all
him so special. Yeah, he never turns it over.
Yeah,
and like his sins are sins of omission. It's like where he just dribbles and looks for the little opening and it just never appears, and so the Knicks never shoot.
Yeah,
which I think is like it's got to be so frustrating to deal with, but is ultimately less damaging than like you said, like throwing it in the window that's not there.
Right.
And I think it also just helps the Knicks maintain like a sense of control.
Totally. And
the word for
if
them.
you think about this particular matchup, the Spurs, because they struggle in the half court, like it's those live turnovers that create a lot of their offense. And if you have a point guard who's like one of his main attributes is just like, I'm just not going to burp up the ball, like going for something a little too risky. It kind of turns off the faucet of just like Stephon Castle throwing down like an insane, free throw line fast break dunk. He was the right point guard for this job, I think, in the same way that, everyone on this team kind of posed this slight tactical challenge for them to deal with.
Let's talk about the fallout from San Antonio. And we talked about the Wemby. I think the other person, and we've also talked at length about how good Dylan Harper is. So we'll save that. Let's talk about the Fox stuff because Patrick, your guy, Darren Fox, big fall guy. I want to say, and I am not just saying this because I'm your co-host, I am feeling like the Fox fallout is a little overblown. Like I for a few reasons. One, he missed a ton of jumpers, right? But they were the correct shots in the offense. And I just think like, okay, yes, he is not was not in this series a like dead-eyed, ice-cold killer that you want from somebody that gets paid that much money. No doubt about it. Absolutely, guilty of that, I think. But like, other than that, I thought he was fine. I thought he was like a pretty good guard that got them really, really far in the playoffs. And this whole like, oh my God, it's all Fox's fault. It just doesn't seem right to me. It's like, yeah. What are you guys?
Yeah, I think that's like broadly correct. I just do have to say, like, ever since he was drafted, you want stuff like this to happen, but it was just so cool to see Fox perform big and in the finals and make the team that I wanted to win. So shout out to him for that. I think I do broadly agree. I think the sort of mystery of the degree to which his ankle was or was not fucked up is going to really loom over this. But like, so something strange that's been happening with Fox is like, he just hasn't gotten to the rim for like years and years now. Which actually seems like it would be less of a problem with the Spurs than basically anyone else, because the two other point guards, kind of all they do is get to the rim. And also like, that's where Wemby should be. So I do agree that it's like mostly a matter of missing shots. Like we've talked about this previously, but he'll have these games where he shoots, 2 for 9, but tosses like 8 assists and has a team best plus minus, just because it's like having someone who can just organize the team and move Wemby into the right positions is so valuable. And like, if that guy can also reliably hit a 14-footer, then like, great. Like that just kind of fixes everything. So I'm not totally, I understand I'm not exactly like an unbiased source here, but like, I don't buy this idea that they need to just trade him right now for 30% of his value and then he's totally fucked. I mean, that is unless the locker rooms turn on him, which it doesn't seem like. Like the good version of Fox, I think, is totally still in there. And, you know, if the shot isn't totally broken or like his 23 season was this like product of very aberrant luck that's not going to happen again, like he still does seem like the exact right type of guy you would want to build a Wemby team around. And so it's a bummer. And like the layup in game 4, it's just, that's going to haunt him forever. Unless they win the title together in the next few years, like with him still around, that's just, it's a boo-boo, but it's one of those things where it's like, you have half a second to make that decision.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. I think the asterisk on his series is the high ankle. Like as someone who's like 2 months into an ankle sprain right now, it definitely does fuck your shit up. And I think part of what's going to be interesting from him going forward is like, how do you adjust your game to no longer being the like single fastest person in the NBA?
Right.
And I think he's got enough craft to like make that transition and still be a really effective point guard later in his career. But even in that like little micro moment of just like, yeah, I'm going to take this layup because I'm so used to getting to the rack faster than anyone, but I am playing like one of the best defensive players in the world right now, and he's long and strong, and he's actually pretty fast, and he beat me to the spot. It's just like probably not a calculation he's used to making. So I think he can get better as he, you know, if he can get back to just shooting, even if he's not getting it to the rim the same way. He shot insane from the mid-range in one of those last seasons with the Kings, and like if he can get back to that, I mean, he's still going to be a good player. And I think I agree. Some of the slander right now is a bit overstated.
And like, I just feel go ahead, Patrick.
Well, no, I was just going to say that I want to underline something you said, Giddy, which is like, despite Fox not making basically a single shot in the finals, like OG was on him almost the entire time.
That's
like,
a huge part of that.
The opposing defense still like takes that threat seriously, which I think is worth like keeping in mind.
Yeah. And like, even just there was so much talk at the beginning of like, how are Harper and Fox and Castle going to work together? And the answer was largely, okay, Fox is going to, you know, change how he plays around these two younger, more dynamic, less flexible guards. And so like Castle was able to do the thing that he's very good at, which is just like head down, barreling through the defense, because Fox was like, okay, fine, I've been a lead ball handler my entire career, but why don't I space out and swing and try to attack off 16 footers? And like, again, he, you know, did choke in that situation, but I just feel like he's getting blamed for contorting himself into this role that he needed to do to make everything else work. And he's like, you know, he's a good defender. Like, I don't want the Warriors to get him because we got Steph, but anybody else, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I agree. I think we might just be watching him like in the middle of adapting to being a new kind of player, and there's like some growing pains in there. That's definitely possible.
And like, he was amazing in that Thunder series. Like
Yeah.
he had a couple bad shooting games, but especially in that game 7, I mean, you see like if he is hitting his shots, he just changes that offense so much. And I think a lot of the Spurs like late game collapse shit, like I don't really think you can put so much of that on him. A lot of that is just kind of team wide freak out. And I think I don't think the Spurs should like fire him or anything, but not a great Mitch Johnson series. Sort of some exposement happening on that end.
Yeah.
I think like zooming out even a little bit, he's like played on some pretty weirdly composed rosters. Like you never see him. Like Sabonis is a very idiosyncratic player to have like been your co-star for a while. Now he's on this like weird like all guards plus Wemby lineups. Like I think the fact like he's never just run like a traditional like spread pick and roll point guard like with a bunch of shooting around him. It's
he's
always,
never played with a single good wing player like ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really true.
Like who's the best wing he's played with? I guess if you want to count Devin Vassell or like Keegan and Harrison.
I was going to say Harrison
Barnes.
Right.
Anyway, something else I wanted to ask about, sort of switching gears here, is you got to boo James Dolan.
Oh my God, it felt
in
amazing.
the arena.
Yeah, felt incredible.
I want to hear about that, and I want to talk about sort of Dolan as this villain of his own team's run, like fucking up the vibes in Game 3. Like, how did that feel?
It was to take a step back, like after the game, people are just kind of pacing around. The Spurs fans were all trickling down, and the Knicks fans kind of descended to the lowest part of each bowl, whatever they were sitting in, and everyone's crying, hugging, whatever, FaceTiming people, great vibes. And then, James Dolan emerges, and there's incredibly cathartic for people to truly boo him in person for for all that he's done to them. And I want to shout out the person who was a big enough freak to fly to Game 5 in San Antonio, but also didn't know why his fellow Knicks fans would be booing James Dolan. This guy exists. He's out there. This middle-aged man. Turns and asks his friends, like, "Oh, why are they booing him?" Fascinating type of guy to be, but it felt great. It's like none of this, all of this got good because you stopped meddling with it, and then when you did bring your sleepy homie to the game, they lost their only playoff game in like 60 days. So it's amazing how little of this has had to do with James Dolan, and to get to boo him in his moment of glory was very satisfying.
I wanted to say something about this because I was thinking about the Dolan speech when they won the champion, or like during the trophy handing out ceremony, and it was weirdly one of the best ones that an owner has ever given. Most of the time, when the owner
is fired up,
when the owner gets it, they blabber. They're like, "I love this team, and thanks for everybody." And they don't know what to do. Like and that's fine. We all just sort of like forget that that's this moment where this guy who's never been a public figure suddenly is on national TV. Dolan, it was he nailed every beat. It was so clear in my mind that he had been just in the mirror, naked, flashcard, just being like, "Sorry it took so long. Hopefully it won't be okay. Sorry it took so long. Hopefully it won't be 53 years until we get the next one." And he just fucking hit it out of the park on live TV.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is a guy who it's life or death how he performs in the next 7 seconds. And I guess to his credit, I think he did a good job.
Well, I mean, he's a bluesman. He's a showman.
Yeah.
You're not giving him enough credit as a
Fair
performer.
enough, yeah.
He's a professional musician, this man. He's used to the big moment. But can we remember what his fit was, too? I couldn't
he wore
quite...
an orange jacket.
Dude, it was overwhelmingly
with, like, what appeared to be
Right.
it's like a custom Knicks patch or something. Like it was an alternate logo I'd never seen before.
Absolutely beautiful. Okay. Yes, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, custom Knicks patch on the lapel.
Dude, he was
flashing those veneers.
Yeah.
Like
he was like tinted red.
You were so right, Harry. He was ready for his moment. Like, and I think most owners have this sort of smug, like their sense that they're like sort of congratulating one of their companies, like a good Q4 performance. And you can just sort of sense that disparity where like these guys are billionaires who oversee, like, this is just like part of what they do. And I guess I really shouldn't be complimenting him because the other manifestation of his caring was bringing the aforementioned sleepy homie to the game. But like, it was kind of cool to see someone who cared, but then also for that caring to be thrown back in his face instantly. It was basically a perfect.
Yeah, it was
outcome.
And it was, he cared about the moment. He didn't care, who knows if he cares about the Knicks, but he certainly cared about the telegenic moment. It's worth saying right now that Nothing But Respect has acquired James Dolan's Raya profile. And I would just like to read a little bit of as allegedly acquired James Dolan.
Oh, I would love to put some James Dolan blues riffing behind this.
Yeah. I will do that in post. Okay. Finding the real me underneath all the noise. I'm 60. Smiley Mace. I'm 65 years old. So if you are looking for someone to climb Kilimanjaro, I'm probably not your guy. Unless, of course, you want to do so metaphorically. If you want to see what is interesting about me, check out www.msgsphere.com. This is my final hurrah in business. I'm looking for real connection. Someone who I can sing to, tell jokes to, travel with, go sailing with, but will also share their experience with me, blah, blah, blah. This is all alleged. That we have allegedly acquired a picture of James Dolan's Riot profile. Take that for what it's worth. He can now add NBA champion to it. Oh, and you pointed out that his song on Raya is "I Will Wait" by Mumford & Sons. He's so beast mode, dude.
That's beautiful. Metaphorically climb Kilimanjaro with me.
Mm-hmm. Was there an emoji after that? I don't have it up in front of me.
There were.
I think
it was like the simple smile.
Yeah.
A simple
emoji.
smile. Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of one of the crypto horniest emojis in this. If you see that, like that person is unwell. Like they need it.
Yeah.
They need
to climb Kilimanjaro with someone metaphorically fast. Yeah. So
there's something kind of like tragic and mortal about this. This is my final hurrah in business.
Dude.
I am looking for a real connection. Like he's running out of time.
Yeah.
I wonder if like after this championship, there is like a softening in the fan base towards him, and if they start looking him perhaps as someone who has found the real me underneath all the noise, and has made his last hurrah, and is just someone we simply have to accept.
Well, what if also like the sadness and sort of loneliness that you can feel emanating from this profile, what if the title assuages that, and instead of becoming a blues man, he gets really into Detroit style techno or some other sort of less gloomy genre? Like what if JD and the Straight Shot really
he's headlining
pivots?
the Footwork Festival in Detroit. I can't wait. I want to see this alternate pathway for Dolan.
Going to Rolling Loud. Like, let's talk a little bit to close out about the celebration, I should say. And I am not the first. Many people have described this as good 9/11. And I was just joking about the absurdity of that, but I will say it really is like the celebration moments were just like, to unfortunately stretch this metaphor, exploding everywhere. Like every single place in New York City was just these like outbursts of joy and like debauchery and whatever. And I want to take a few minutes to kind of chronicle some of the best pieces of digital ephemera you might have seen. Your angle of the planes hitting the towers. I don't know about this, but okay.
I liked seeing how creative people were getting with streetlights and various pieces of overhanging infrastructure, like a lot of pull-ups, even some push-ups. That was impressive.
I like the human. Did you guys see the human basketball hoop that was made at the top of a lamppost that people were shooting an actual basketball into?
That was great.
Yeah. That was great.
Did you see clips of the guy who was balancing the TV on his head, who I know is like a sort of New York
he's a neighborhood staple.
I saw like 15 different people's Instagram stories, like only some of whom know each other. Everyone seemed to be at that specific party. That must have been in the sort of greater Fort Greene zone, right?
That was like, I mean, I wasn't there, so I'll let Harry speak to it.
I believe it was, and nothing but respect. correspondent Jacob Rosenberg was over there, and he shared a very funny anecdote, which I'll read to you right now, which was a bartender at Fancyfree after the Knicks had won, went out and like went to a smoke break, and like is just looking around the debauchery over there, and the Jacob just hears the bartender say to himself, "This bar is literally the center of the world."
That's facts.
It's true.
Which I think that is, yeah. This was the Fancyfree Knicks autonomous zone with the guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many people I know who straight up aren't basketball fans and don't know and seemingly have not cared in any other context. Seeing them like lock in, go to watch parties, and
Yeah,
then like
that's
lose
been really
their
cool.
minds. It's like that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to watch a city of whatever 8.5 million people all contract the same mental illness that I've had for 25 years. So it's like there's a really lovely like communal aspect to it, and like, you know, getting tons of texts and messages from people like when they did finally pull it off. It was like it's like you guys finally understand why someone could care about this thing that has historically not given them that many reasons to. Because like when it does happen, it's fucking amazing.
A friend of the show, Maxwell Friedlich, posted that people were contacting him as if someone reverse died, which I thought was so perfect.
Yeah. As if you had given birth to a child. Like very similar reaction. People were telling me to breathe. People were telling me to like take care of myself to stay safe. I guess like some Knicks fans were getting kind of jumped in San Antonio, but I did not personally witness any of this. But I was on this there's a group text of the Knicks diaspora in San Antonio, and there were reports of eggs and bottles being thrown, and some people getting beat up and having their jerseys ripped off. But you know, that kind of comes with the territory, I guess.
Speaking of that kind of fight, did you guys happen to see this giant fellow with the Spurs Rodman jersey kind of like running around video game style?
I heard
Yeah,
about it.
that
I
was
haven't seen
crazy.
it. Can you describe it for me?
I watched the first like 10 seconds, but then found his movement style in such an enclosed space so alarming that I didn't want to see the logical conclusion.
How big a person is this?
It's
He's remarkably spherical.
yeah.
Okay.
He's
But like in a muscular style way.
yes, he has a kind of like running back style build to him, like running back mixed with like you know, like when you're in a video, this is very specific. If you're in like a kind of like Elden Ring style video game and you summon a like fellow next to you, that's your sort of
Oh,
like,
sure.
he sort of is moving like that. Kind of like an active attack NPC is how I would loosely describe this guy. But
Where like the shoulder is basically like the size and shape of a basketball.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. But and this is under Moynihan train station in New York, and there's a couple. There was I buried the lead here, which is like I was there. I saw this whole thing happen.
You saw this
Yeah,
guy?
I and it was very surreal because I was getting home from the World Cup. I was at Brazil, Morocco, and he dropped us off at mid station, and something that I thought was like just sort of before I got to the malice at Moynihan was I was walking around under Penn Station, and there are all these bars under Penn Station, and they were watching the Knicks at all these bars, and that is also Penn Station is below MSG, so it was this like kind of crazy metaphor of like people going crazy watching Knicks games at like the underground tunnel system underneath Madison Square Garden, which was really cool. Then there's this giant TV at Moynihan, and a bunch of people were just like partying down there watching on this random thing. But then I look over and this just like giant fight happens, and I just like walk away, but there is this explosion of content creators that are like surrounding this man. It was like the most televised street fight of all time. And then the only part that was very funny about all of this because whatever. I saw the beginning of this and just sort of like walked away with my brother because we needed to get home. But we're walking through a big part of Penn Station. Penn Station's very long and kind of sort of like a labyrinth. We just see, honest to God, 45 police officers just sprinting in the opposite direction, like so exhausted. Everybody's so confused why like 45 city cops are like sprinting through Kava to get to this like ridiculous one person fight. And Leo and I, because we had just walked from it, like understood what was going on, and everybody else is just looking around like, what is going on? Like, why are these police officers? Because it's hard to explain. Like, it clearly wasn't a big enough fight to warrant any of this, because there's no alarms, there's nothing like that. It was just like 45 guys going to break up like 3 fans fighting with each other. It was all very surreal.
Yeah, that's crazy. The idea of watching a game, of going down into the tunnel system, like you said, of this like kind of gnarly, probably crazy smelling public transit hub, and just being like, this is where I'll watch the game.
Well,
it's so funny.
Harry, were you in a subway car during the celebration, and did the celebration extend into the car that you were in?
No, because this fight happened at halftime, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
it
just sort of like yeah, it was weird. It was whatever. Yeah. So I trained home at halftime. So it was just like regular game at that point.
That this one of the charming things, this is sort of a corollary to everyone celebrating and going crazy, is like how everyone needing to watch this in public and be part of this spectacle has led to like a funeral home hosting a watch party or whatever. Yeah. Like a friend of mine works in like a pediatric ICU, and he was like, during game 4, he's like, everyone was just screaming. Like somehow the entire ward, like one of the places you least want to hear screaming basically ever, is like everyone's celebrating and going nuts, which I found to be very beautiful. Like OG is bringing joy into some of the darkest, corners of the city. It's just like, that's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. No, that has been amazing to see.
I have one. I had one final thought of just about the celebrations, because this idea hit me today and I was like perplexed by it, which is I go pretty much every day of my life without seeing somebody on Instagram Live. I am not ever interacting with people on Instagram Live. I'm not going Instagram Live. I don't even, like on a regular week, I could forget it exists. With the exception of the 2 days after a NBA team wins a national championship or wins an NBA championship, in which case I am assaulted by videos of people going live on Instagram Live. And I was like, I found myself thinking like, why is Instagram Live the like unofficial celebration medium of winning NBA championships? It's like such a strange medium. And I'm curious what you guys think. I have a theory.
My initial impression is that going live on Instagram for just like showing your face is kind of like an insanely egotistical thing to do. But if you win a title, you sort of have not only like the license, but almost like the necessity to like really sort of flex in all these ways, like where like you saw OG just like fried out of his mind appearing on Good Morning America. It's like, that's the kind of stuff you're supposed to do as a champion. So like, I want to see Mikal Bridges talk crazy about Jalen. Like, you won a title, like you should be indulgent right now.
Yeah, I think it is because the like basically psychedelic experience of winning a championship causes people to like act up and like want to be around people, even if you are just drunk and alone with your dog, which it seems like Mikal Bridges was, you do still want to be with the people, with your fans. And like, I guess, that's one way to do it, is just going live.
My only, like, I think those are both correct. And I also want to briefly touch on the moral panic of last year about the Thunder not getting fucked up at their championship, which at the time I remember being like, that's not that big of a deal. But now that I saw how fucked up the Knicks got, I'm like, what the fuck? Why didn't the Thunder get more fucked up? The experience of being an NBA player, I suspect, is an experience of a one-directional like beam of comments and information from people on your iPhone, where you're just like looking at people being like, "You're an idiot. I wish we traded you for 5 picks or whatever," and that the Instagram Live in this moment allows the tension to be broken by the information to go both ways. For like, you get this 1 hour where the information gets to go both ways, and the star can lower the veil and admit that he is reading all of the comments all the time, and that can only happen in the moments of euphoria after a title.
Yeah, it's like The Purge, but for like
for admitting you're a person,
being famous. Yeah, for being human.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the contrast is all the stronger now that like famous people are totally regulated, and like the way any famous athlete interacts with the media is obviously so like mediated by press people and agents and whatnot, and like in many ways it's like that entire apparatus's biggest nightmare for you to just be live streaming extremely fucked up like to the entire world. So I think in the middle of that like super intense surveillance state, it's lovely that we have these occasional breaks from that where you really do. I saw a tweet just now, is like, I want to see if Jose Alvarado like says the N-word while he's singing along to the songs. And then someone found the stream, the clip from the stream, and where you do get to find the answer to that question.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, well, that's. Is there anything else? Like, I don't know, any more messages to the haters and losers? Any more particular ways you want to celebrate? Any guys you want to remember?
Yeah, I mean, I want to shout out the outrageous heater that Mikal Bridges was on for the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, even though he did kind of cool off. I mean, he had an amazing game in the finals too, so I don't want to downplay that. So that was great. Cat outplaying Wemby for 2 games and change was really like, I never thought I would see that so starkly laid out. That was awesome. And I think as much as I tried to praise him for resisting some of his worst fouling tendencies in the first 2 games, it was spiritually appropriate that he fouled out in the clinching game with like, I don't know, probably less than 10 points. I don't remember.
2 points.
Yeah. 2 points. We can resist our worst tendencies, but at the end of the day, we are still who we are. And I will always remember this run, I think, as a great OG Anunoby performance, and I'm glad he got that single, very discreet, iconic moment that will just live on forever. And I think it's been very cool from going from like not understanding who this kind of like comically low-key and soft-spoken guy's whole deal was, to just like him being my favorite player on my favorite team and having the all-time 3-and-D performance was really cool to see. Probably my favorite single thing.
It was so sick. And like kind of related to that, I love seeing all the guys who played like Trey Burke did like an 11 slide Instagram grid post about how happy he is. And like, Iman Shumpert showing up to the game 4.
Yeah, he was there.
And Iman Shumpert Knicks jersey is so cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I think
it's just like to me, what that speaks to is just like, this is a really cool title. Like the 53 years, the fact that it's like for New York, like defeating Wemby, like just balls and strikes. This is one of probably the coolest title I've seen. I mean, 22 Warriors maybe, but I'm biased. But like just seeing that the whole world is like, this is the good, fun outcome and we can support this. Like that has to just feel amazing. Like the world is behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those rare moments where, if fans, you often stupidly feel like the protagonist of reality, but like it does feel like a lot of other people are happy too.
Yeah.
Which is, for once, it is very cool.
I think that's a great place to end. Oh, Harry, did you have something?
I guess now I do want to ask, in your time as a fan, Giri, what was the lowest point? If you're at the high point.
I think I'm thinking about like, I am thinking about the Eddie Curry, Zach Randolph front court. A very big one, but not a particularly effective one. I think those Isaiah Thomas dog days were probably the low point, and weirdly it lined up with the peak of my investment with a sports team, because I was like, I don't know, like 13, 14 years old, like reading the box score religiously after every game. And I think it's having the time you care most to be the time that you're served the absolute worst dog shit in the world was painful. And things since then, I had grown up. I had been able to manage fandom in more mature ways, but that stuff all hurt. Those Isaiah Thomas years really hurt.
Yeah, they won 17 games also like not that long ago too. Like I remember when after the 23 playoffs, you and I did a sort of chat post on Defector about like, okay, the Knicks and the Kings both had like exciting, surprising seasons last year. Like how do we manage those expectations? And like, we don't need to talk about the Kings, but one of the most remarkable things about this Knicks team is like how they were constructed, where it's like none of the guys in that top 5 were selected by them. They just made perfect interlocking transactions over and over again until they assembled this like ideal team.
Yeah. The Leon Rose aspect of it is interesting, where he was able to, counteract a whole generation of like sleazy moves, like jumping to trade for a washed superstar, or like drafting dubiously. He just kind of hit all the big moves and all the little moves, and it proceeded incrementally until you end up with this roster that's just like does everything pretty well, and in many things extremely well. And it just like that patience and foresight runs counter to the whole way the team has operated for 20 years.
But I would like to present you with a counterpoint courtesy of Matt Iglesias.
Oh my God.
Does trading 5 picks for an objectively mid forward, is that still worse than winning a title? Giddy Nathan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I will say the not having the pick in whatever 2031 is when I get to that, I'm going to subtract from my body all the enjoyment of this championship. And at that point, Matt Iglesias will be absolutely correct.
But on the other side, what does it feel like to have defeated the creep of fascism via communal energy? Like you may have not have won a real title, but you did by helping the guy who invited Donald Trump to Game 3 defeat Donald Trump. So how does that feel?
Yeah, you have to embrace New York City in all its totality, and that I guess also means the entire Epstein class sitting courtside to watch one of the greatest games in basketball history. That has to be part of the package too. You have to be okay with that.
I mean, Dime Square has the Dare. They've got Clandestino, but they've also got bad things. Sovereign House. That's the word I was looking for. All right. Okay. We'll get you out of here. Go Knicks. And now it's the Nothing But Respect podcast turns our attention to the 2026 WNBA champions, the
Nice
Golden State Valkyries.
Golden State Valkyries, yeah.